We have just finished the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, in which the 8 best remaining teams in the NFL all fought for a spot in the championship game. And 4 teams were eliminated, while 4 teams will be moving on for a chance at the Super Bowl. And from these games, we have many takeaways for how some teams will do later on in the playoffs, and how some teams will be able to do in the future. So today I'm going to be giving you guys an NFL divisional round recap. What's up everybody, it's AC Analysis, and today I'm going to be giving you guys an NFL Divisional Round recap. And I know I haven't made a video in 1 week, and this is the longest I've gone without making one. I'm sorry about that, but now we're going to get right back on track. And there were 8 incredible games played this weekend that I hope you all had a great time watching. But there are many takeaways we can take from these games, on how some teams will do in the future, and how far teams will be able to make it in the playoffs. But before we get started, if you guys enjoy consistent football content like this, liking and subscribing would be really helpful. We're on the road to 100 subs now, and every sub helps. And the shout out for today's video goes to Evan Fien. And if you guys want a shout out to your channel, make sure to comment down below, and we can help all of our channels grow together. And now with that being said, let's get right into the video. To kick off the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, we had the Green Bay Packers versus the LA Rams. And coming into the playoffs, the Packers were actually Super Bowl favorites, ending off the regular season 14-2, mainly powered by their offense. And this game went pretty much as expected, as the Packers were firing on all cylinders and ended up winning the game 32-18. And in the beginning of this game, it was mainly about the defense, and the strength of the Rams is their defense, with players such as Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey, who's probably the best defensive player in the league. But the Rams had a lot to do coming into this game, as they had to cover Davante Adams and they had to stop players such as Aaron Jones on the defense. And Aaron Donald wasn't 100% this entire game with a rib injury, but they still were able to get to Aaron Rodgers in the first half. As for the secondary, they had a really tough task, and it really showed later in the game, as Aaron Rodgers ended up throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Ramsey, probably the best defensive player in the NFL, was really able to lock up Davante Adams to 4 receptions for 66 yards and 1 touchdown, really proving that he is the best cornerback in the NFL. And do I think that this is the end for the Los Angeles Rams? No, because they still put a solid fight against the Green Bay Packers, and they weren't 100% healthy since Jared Goff, who this game threw for 175 yards and a touchdown, had a thumb injury. Jared Goff honestly looked better than ever today, so I think he's still a solid quarterback to build a franchise around. And on their offense, all they really need is a better offensive line and a wide receiver, possibly Allen Robinson. As for the Green Bay Packers, they're going to be forced to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game. And this game is going to be an incredible game, especially since one of the Packers' only 2 losses in the regular season were against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in which their defense was exposed, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't even able to throw for over 100 yards. So this game is going to be very good, and the Packers will have something to prove, but because of how strong their defense has been playing and how well Aaron Rodgers has been playing, there was no reason why they can't get past that high-powered Tom Brady offense, and how they're not able to reach the Super Bowl. The next game of the divisional round was the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens, and this game was expected to be a very good game, especially since Lamar Jackson as a quarterback just won his first game in the playoffs with an upset against the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. So this game was expected to be great, but it didn't really turn out that way, as the Bills ended up winning 17-3 in a very sluggish and slow game. After the first half, the final score was only 3-3, but then in the third quarter, the Buffalo Bills came in firing with 14 unanswered points, mainly led by Stephon Diggs, who is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, and he ended up receiving for 8 receptions, 106 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he played a great game, and Josh Allen didn't really have the best game with only 200 yards, but like I said, the main strength of this game was the defense, and the defense for the Bills were really able to shut down Lamar Jackson. Jackson threw for 160 yards and 1 touchdown, with a 61 quarterback rating. And J.K. Dobbins, their starting running back, was only held to 42 yards. So really at the end of the day, the defense for the Bills clutched up and were really able to stop the high-powered running game, which really was the only strength for the Ravens since they don't have much of a passing game. And for the future of the Ravens, I believe that they are still a very strong 12-4 team. They just have few things to get sorted out, and that is mainly their wide receiving core. They have a strong offensive line with players such as Ronnie Stanley. They just need another wide receiver. I said this in the last video too, and I'm going to say that in this video. If they get a solid wide receiver, they will be real playoff and Super Bowl threats. Now, the Buffalo Bills are going to be real Super Bowl threats, just like the Green Bay Packers. And in the AFC Championship game, they have to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I will talk about that team later. but they didn't have the strongest performance last week, and Mahomes seems to be injured. So this game is going to be very, very good, and I honestly can't really predict right now who will win, because we don't know if Mahomes is going to play or if he's not going to play. But the Bills are also real contenders to make the Super Bowl. And actually, in my playoff brackets, I had the Super Bowl being the Green Bay Packers versus the Buffalo Bills, and I had the Packers winning the Super Bowl. Right now, I'm pretty well on pace for that to happen. To kick off the Sunday games for the divisional round, we had the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cleveland Browns. And this game was really hyped up since just the previous week, the Cleveland Browns, a team that's not been able to win a playoff game in 25 years, ended up destroying the Pittsburgh Steelers, ending the Steelers' season. So the Browns had lots of momentum coming into this game, so everyone thought that they had a solid chance against the Chiefs. And this game was actually very good, with the final score being 22-17. And in the beginning of the game, the Chiefs really had the lead, and they had the lead for pretty much all the game. But the real opening for the Browns that really helped them have a chance to win the game is when in the third quarter, Mahomes suffered a concussion and was forced to leave the game. And that forced backup quarterback Chad Henne to have to come in and play. And he didn't play too well. He had 66 yards and a touchdown in the second half, compared to Mahomes' 255 yards and a touchdown. But they still played solid enough to the point where the Chiefs were able to win the game. And the defense for the Chiefs also really clutched up in some key drives for the Cleveland Browns, with Tyrann Mathieu being able to pick off Baker Mayfield, who that game had 200 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And the defensive line with Chris Jones and company were also able to stuff the running game, with letting their Pro Bowl running back Nick Chubb only run for 70 yards and no touchdowns. So this game was really a defensive battle for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were really able to show this game that they did not need Patrick Mahomes to win. They really need him to reach the Super Bowl, but they have a really strong team around them. And the best play of the game happened in the final play when the Chiefs needed a first down to win the game, when Chad Henne was able to rush for a 14-yard run to be able to close it up. And do I think that this is the end of the Browns? No, the Browns are going to play really well in the future. Baker Mayfield has some little things that he has to fix up, and they really need to fix some things on the defensive side of the ball, but they have so much to build around, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as a two-headed monster, and then Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield, and on the defensive side of the ball, they got Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. This team is so strong that there's no reason why they won't be able to make the playoffs next year. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to be able to make a real run later on. They have to play against the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game, and personally, I don't think they'll be able to win this game, because we don't know if Patrick Mahomes will be able to make the next game. But if Mahomes is able to play, this might be the best game of the NFL season, since both these teams have so much momentum and so much hype around them. The unfortunate thing is, though, only one of them will be able to wait and make the Super Bowl. We'll just have to wait and see. The final game of the divisional round was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. And these are both NFC powerhouse teams, since currently the Buccaneers are really on a 6-game winning streak, and they're playing like how they were expected to play in the beginning of the year. While the Saints are the New Orleans Saints, they're always a very strong team. They ended off the year 12-4, and they were up there for one of the best Super Bowl favorites. But we all know how the Saints have been playing in the playoffs the last year, how Drew Brees and Sean Payton really haven't been able to win games because of bad calls or unfortunate events. I've actually made a video on that, you guys should really check it out. But the Saints were not able to really get anything going this game. And this is most likely going to be Drew Brees' last career game, and it was an unfortunate last career game, because he probably had one of the worst games of his career, with 135 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, with a pretty sorrowful 38 quarterback passer rating. Not a great way to go into the sunset, my guy. But he's most likely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I'm kind of sad that he had to go and he's leaving the NFL now. But the Buccaneers did play a great game, and the defense was the real reason that they won the game, because Brady only had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the running game didn't really get much going, with Ronald Jones running for 60 yards, as well as Leonard Fournette running for 60 yards. But the defense only got 3 takeaways from Drew Brees, 2 of them in the fourth quarter to seal up the game, and they also stopped Michael Thomas, the real threat of the team other than Alvin Kamara, to 0 yards. Alvin Kamara this game also had 18 attempts for 85 yards, along with 3 receptions for 80 yards. So he did play a great game, Alvin Kamara, but they still weren't able to get enough to win this game. And honestly, the Buccaneers are just too strong of a team right now, to the point where they're going to probably be the biggest team, and if any team is going to reach the Super Bowl and beat the Green Bay Packers, it is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The future is questionable for the New Orleans Saints, since future Hall of Famer Drew Brees will retire next season, and there is a clip on the internet of Drew Brees actually saying that this is Jameis Winston's team now, which really makes me think that Winston might be the starter of the team next season. I'm not really sure, but if the quarterback comes in, like a lot of other teams in the playoffs, they will have a lot to build around. They will have a solid offense with a really reliable player in Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, while the defense with Cameron Jordan is always strong. But the Saints are going to be a really interesting team that I'm excited to watch next season. It's just going to be a little bit off without Drew Brees. Now, with that being said, that'll wrap up this video. This has been AC Analysis talking about a divisional round recap of the NFL playoffs. And I hope you guys all had a great time watching the games, and I can't wait for next week, and I will have a video coming out next week talking about a recap. But before we finish off the video, remember, liking and subscribing would be really helpful. We're on the road to 100 subs now, and every sub helps. And if you want a shout out, make sure to comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and reaching this point in the video. See you next time.